Hello and thank you for joining us, and it's time for our news bulletin right here on Luntha television, and you're with me, Patrick Pooper. Faced the headlines. Pope Leo XIV sends condolences to Ghana, mournings victims of helicopter crash. 161,920 indelible ink arrives ahead of September 16th general elections. Malawi struggles to manage diabetes amid low awareness and delayed diagnosis. And in our special report this week, Robert Edward reports loose ends for another legal battle against results 16th September general elections. Those were the headlines. Now the news in detail. Pope Leo XIV has expressed his sorrow over the death of ministers, government officials, and the crew who perished in a military helicopter crash on Wednesday, 6 August, in the Western African nation of Ghana. The condolences came in a telegram signed by Cardinal Secretary of State, addressed to Bishop Matthews of Suyani Diocese, also President of the Ghana's Catholic Bishops' Conference. The Holy See's Press Offline published the telegram on Thursday evening, 7 August, assuring the Holy Father's spiritual closeness to the nation at this difficult time. Taniwe Mzumara is reading a Vatican News report.
The helicopter, carrying 3 crew and 5 passengers, crashed in a heavily forested area at the center of the Central Ashanti region. It was carrying Ghana's Minister of Defense, Edward Omane Boama, the Minister of Environment, Ibrahim Mutala Mohammed, and 6 crew and other passengers accompanying them. They were traveling to the town of Obwasi for an event related to stopping illegal mining. There were no survivors. The missionary news service, Agenzia Fides, reported Bishop Ngiafi's reaction to the tragedy, saying the news came as a great shock to all. The Ghana's Bishops' Conference issued a statement expressing its condolences to the President, the families of the victims, the Parliament, and the nation, saying they ask all Ghanaians to pray for them, while also noting their shock to lose such brilliant minds all at once. The bishops emphasized that the victims were men of proven commitment, servants of the state, politicians, technocrats, and gallant officers of the Ghana Armed Forces who gave their lives in the service of the Republic, the institutions, and the people of the country. Their sudden and untimely passing is not only a blow to their families and friends, but also a great loss for the nation of Ghana. Ghana's President, John Dramani Mahama, has since declared 3 days of national mourning.
Auxiliary Bishop Vincent Makwawa has reminded the Catholic faithful to follow the liturgical order during prayers and Eucharistic Mass celebrations. He made these sentiments during the Eucharistic Congress at Maula Cathedral in Lilongwe. Bishop Makwawa emphasized the importance of adhering to the liturgical order in church, stressing that it is essential for a meaningful and relevant celebration of the Eucharist. He encouraged the faithful to participate fully and consciously in the liturgy. The Eucharistic Congress started on Tuesday and will end up tomorrow at Maula Cathedral. The Malawi Electoral Commission (MEC) has successfully received a shipment of 161,920 bottles of indelible ink from China. During the arrival ceremony at Kamuzu International Airport in Lilongwe, MEC Chairperson Justice Annabel Ntalimanja expressed confidence that the supply of indelible ink is more than adequate for the upcoming general elections scheduled for September 16, 2025, as well as for any potential reruns ahead of the elections. More in this report read by Rodrick Wani.
Ntalimanja emphasized that Malawians can anticipate a transparent and credible electoral process with the introduction of the indelible ink. She also mentioned that ballot papers will be arriving soon, as the Commission is in the process of finalizing the list of presidential candidates, members of parliament, as well as shadow councillors.
As you all are aware, in terms of our processes to ensure the principle of one person, one vote, we use indelible ink to mark those who have already cast their vote, so that we don't have people voting more than once. The consignment has arrived today as part of our preparations, as I've indicated, in terms of the materials that we're going to use for polling. So the ink that has arrived today, we're going to store it under secure conditions so that we are ready come 16th of September.
Beauty Kuntomoni, representing the political parties as a member of Ojazake Alibe Mlandu, expressed satisfaction with the ink shipment and conveyed optimism regarding the preparations of the general elections.
Chairman has also stated that the ink will be enough, even if we can have the relearn, the ink will be enough for that relearn even by the elections. So we have enough ink, so we are ready for 6th of September.
Only Ojazake Alibe Mlandu Party and Freedom Party sent their representatives to witness the arrival, despite an invitation being sent to all political parties to witness the arrival and reception of the consignment.
Human rights activist Michael Kayata has praised the Malawi Human Rights Commission for conducting a public inquiry into access to justice, calling for the immediate implementation of its recommendations to tackle judicial delays and eliminate corruption. He warned that failure to act would fuel impunity and continue to deny justice to the poor. Kayata was responding to the MHRC's Access to Justice report, which highlights delays in delivering judgments and entrenchment corruption as key challenges in the justice system. More in our report, followed by Gift Kalonga.
From October 2024 to March 2025, the Malawi Human Rights Commission conducted a nationwide inquiry into the challenges affecting access to justice. Public hearings were held in Mzimba, Lilongwe, and Mangochi, gathering voices from across the country. Speaking with Luntha News, Malawi Human Rights Commission Commissioner Teresa Ndanga said the commission launched the inquiry following a request from Parliament's Legal Affairs Committee to investigate allegations of corruption in the judiciary, including claims against Justice Kenan Manda. She explained that while MHRC does not have the mandate to investigate corruption, it received about 40 submissions, some alleging corruption and others highlighting challenges in accessing justice, which will be referred to the Anti-Corruption Bureau for action. Ndanga also noted that no concrete evidence was received to support the specific allegations against Justice Manda, but the inquiry revealed systematic delays in accessing justice, partly due to staff transfers and retirements, and case of unprofessional conduct among some private lawyers. She recommended that the Malawi Law Society intensify discipline measures and urged ACB to expedite investigations, stressing that transparency is very important to the promotion of access to justice.
More generally, I think our finding regarding private lawyers has been that there is a bit of unprofessionalism, which is why we are recommending that the Malawi Law Society needs to take a closer look. We are glad that I think there has been some progress in terms of disciplining lawyers in the country, and that is commendable. But if you hear from people, there are a lot more cases out there. So maybe the issue is not just to wait until we get a complaint, but maybe to also look at monitoring to see how, especially in the peripherals, how citizens are interacting with the private lawyers and if they are getting quality services. Because sometimes what we noted is that some citizens don't even know where to report when they encounter this. So there's need to also be proactive, the Malawi Law Society being proactive to see how their members are serving the general population, not just those that are able to complain.
In a separate interview with Luntha News, Malawi Legal Aid Bureau spokesperson John Namalenga acknowledged that the Bureau has few lawyers, currently 48 lawyers to serve the entire country, leaving many poor Malawians without timely legal assistance. He said the Bureau is lobbying government to recruit more lawyers and is partnering with Malawi Law Society through a pro bono scheme where private lawyers provide at least 24 hours of free legal service annually.
Been mentioned concerning the Legal Aid Bureau and the services it is providing to Malawians. As it stands, the Legal Aid Bureau has a few number of lawyers, as mentioned by the Malawi Human Rights Commission, to serve the entire population of the Malawi country. And we are talking of people who are not able to access private lawyers. And these individuals mostly are the poor. So when we're talking of the numbers, it means that the 48 that we have currently are only few. But what we're doing is that we are lobbying with the government to at least recruit more lawyers to ensure that we are reaching to more people in the country, especially those who cannot afford private lawyers.
In reaction to the findings of Inquiry on Access to Justice report, human rights activist Michael Kayasa commended the Malawi Human Rights Commission for its inquiry into access to justice, saying it exposed serious challenges such as prolonged judicial delays and widespread corruption. He stressed that many poor people wait years for their cases, with some dying before getting justice and others held on remand for years without trial.
Also recommendable. The Commission has come up with the recommendations that needed to be made and also implemented to ensure that the access to justice is improved. What we are seeing is that a lot of people, especially the poor, are unable to access justice in a timely manner, which has the devastating consequences for those involved. We have seen cases where people have waited for years without the access to justice.
Meanwhile, the Malawi Human Rights Commission has found delays in delivering judgments, widespread corruption, limited access to courts in rural areas, and instances of abuse of power as the major findings of the inquiry. For Luntha News, this is Gift Kalonga.
Chief of Health Services responsible for reforms in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Matthews Joshua, has warned that diabetes is becoming a time bomb in Malawi, with an estimated 30% of the population living with the disease, many without knowing it. According to Joshua, the growing burden of non-communicable diseases is overtaking traditional communicable diseases as a leading cause of death, partly due to increased life expectancy and successful HIV treatment, allowing people to live longer. He made the remarks earlier today in Lilongwe during the official opening of the National Diabetes Training Workshop organized by the Ministry of Health in collaboration with the World Health Organization, the International Diabetes Federation, and Sanofi. More in this report filed by Judith Organ, read by Tandiwe Mzumara.
Dr. Joshua said government is stepping up efforts to expand health workforce through recruitment and training so health workers can screen communities, identify diabetic patients, and link them to treatment. He said infrastructure at hospitals and health facilities is also being strengthened to improve testing capacity.
Suffering from diabetes in Malawi, but most of them, they move around. They don't know that they have the disease. So it's a time bomb as the non-communicable diseases are getting high and high now.
World Health Organization WHO representative Dr. Nima Kimambo said over half of people living with diabetes in Malawi are unaware of their status, making early detection critical. She said training health workers, even at primary health care level, ensures they can suspect, diagnose, and initiate treatment for diabetes before complications set in.
We promote healthy lifestyles. We address the determinants of health that can actually lead people to becoming, to getting diabetes. So that's one thing. The other thing, as I said, if people are not diagnosed, then they are likely, by the time they're being diagnosed, they already have severe complications.
Maxwell Bonani, a nurse and mental health advocate, says the training is not only equipping them with the skills to detect and refer diabetic patients, but also linking diabetes management with mental health support.
This training is very crucial because the first thing is giving us information, which is helping. For example, in my side as a capacity as a nurse, it's giving me information on how best I can help patient right away from screening them, identifying them, and at the same time, if I can offer medical help or treatment. If I cannot, then they must be aware of referral services, whereby we offer them for referral services.
Research has it that low and middle income countries account for nearly 70% of global diabetes cases. In the African region alone, over 24 million people were living with diabetes in 2021. Each year, more than 416,000 deaths are attributed to this disease. Projections indicate that by 2045, this number will rise by 129%, reaching 55 million. Currently, 1 in every 22 adults in Africa has diabetes, and shockingly, 54% remain undiagnosed.
Remember, you are watching News Bulletin right here on Luntha Television, and you are with me, Patrick Pupa. But before we proceed, top stories once again. Pope Leo XIV sends condolences to Ghana, mourning victims of helicopter crash. 161,920 indelible ink arrives ahead of September 16th general elections. Malawi struggles to manage diabetes amid low awareness and delayed diagnosis. And in our special report this week, Robert Edward reports loose ends for another legal battle against results 16th September general elections. Welcome back. And education expert in the country has weighed in on the ongoing debate over summer classes, urging that the lessons play a vital role in improving learners' academic performance, despite government directive banning such sessions during school holidays. Education ex-analysts Lexon Nalama and Lakembewe concur that extra classes conducted during holidays help reinforce learning, particularly for students who struggle to grasp concepts during regular classroom sessions. Falis Chizombwe has more in this report.
Mbewe emphasized that summer classes are beneficial in helping learners catch up on academic content they may have missed, pointing out that some students take longer to understand classroom material. He said the additional time helps bridge learning gaps.
To be frank with you, continuous learning has been a great catalyst towards transformation of children that were lagging behind in terms of uptake of their education, but also igniting their knowledge to pick up and perform better in class. However, there have been a number of issues and a wrangle between the Ministry of Education and some parents, some schools, in terms of stopping them.
Echoing Mbewe's sentiments, Lexon Ndalama acknowledged the Ministry of Education's concerns about the importance of rest during school breaks. However, he stressed that the decision to enroll a child in summer classes should ultimately rest with parents depending on the child's academic performance and learning pace.
So parents may want to hire a private teacher to teach the child alone, because maybe when a teacher is teaching a few children or one, they teach better than when they are teaching in a group. So the main reason why parents look for summer lessons
is to make sure that their children close the performance gap so that when they go back to school, they can compete favorably with others.
The Ministry of Education area issued a directive banning schools from conducting lessons during holidays, citing the need for students to relax and recharge ahead of a new academic term. Some parents have welcomed the decision, saying it prevents burnout and reduces pressure on learners. Meanwhile, the current school holiday is expected to end on September 22. Reporting for Luntha News, this is Fales Chizombe.
Fears of the country's legislative branch of government failure to properly scrutinize proposed laws beyond the political party's agenda, costing Malawi are back with the twists and turns on Section 74 of the presidential, parliamentary, and local government elections. Civil society organizations on elections integrity chairperson Benedicto Kondowe this time around does not only advance the fears but concludes the effect of the situation to the acceptance of the credibility of the 16th September general elections results. In our exclusive report this week, Robert Edward, subject to scrutiny both the regulations and the legislative, the taste, the fears of Kondowe.
Before 2023, the changed Presidential and Parliamentary Elections Act had Section 75, whose provision was as it is now, where the Electoral Management Body has authority to transfer powers for a person to vote elsewhere away from their registration centers, and security personnel make officials, monitors, including journalists and local independent observers who are dispersed across the country benefited from the provision. However, the same Parliament removed the same provision in 2023, and no one had eyes open enough to see. Actually, the drafters of the bill that removed Section 75 said they did so on instructions.
As Minister of Justice, we do draft based on instructions that have been presented to us. Some of the instructions are based on policy matters, some of the instructions are based on operational matters.
But who instructed the Minister of Justice to remove a provision that benefited many? Minister of Justice Titus Mvaro attempted the question but failed to mention the person. He also distanced himself from being the one who gave the instructions. He, however, says he learned something about the matter.
Well, I think to say it was wrong to blame it on the Minister of Justice, on me as an individual, because the law is passed by Parliament. Parliament itself, if we're going to blame anybody, it must be Parliament. But it was passed by this Parliament. Parliament should have seen that there's something here which is not there. But Parliament approved the bill as it was and passed it. So it is not an individual's mistake or individual blame to be blamed. I don't pass laws. They're passed by the Parliament. So Parliament passed it. It wasn't the Minister of Justice who passed the law. That's far from truth. I know some reasons why there was a debate on it, a debate in which I was not involved myself, but later when I learned about the debate, from what I've gathered from that which went on, was that MEC had indicated some challenges in maintaining that law. The challenges that they had brought up were that, from their experience in the past, it had caused inconvenience at polling stations.
According to Benedicto Kondowe, chairperson for civil society organizations on elections integrity, the removal of the provision is a clear picture of fears that Parliament passes some laws without knowing what they are passing by carefully scrutinizing them. He says it is not only Parliament, but even the drafters and the President who also has a duty to scrutinize the law before assent.
Bills have been challenging, so members of Parliament sometimes would pass bills without carefully scrutinizing in terms of whether the proposed bills have gaps. Secondly, that it was also an omission on the part of the drafters, Because when you are drafting a registration, you need to be careful and reasonable enough to look at all dimensions that are associated with the drafting process. So that too contributed to the mess that we're in. Beyond that, before the president assents, it is also a requirement that the legal teams would review the bill that has been passed, because under our constitution, the president is vested with the powers to refer back to a bill if there are issues that perhaps Parliament might have omitted. So if you look at all the three stages, no one noted, including us in the civil society.
Chairperson of the Legal Affairs Committee of Parliament, however, does not agree with Kondowe.
No, it's not true. Whenever a bill is coming to Parliament, before it is presented, a number of committees, especially Legal Affairs Committee, do actually invite various stakeholders to scrutinize the bills and understand their contents.
Nevertheless, Parliament reconvened on Tuesday to amend the Section 74 of the Presidential Parliamentary and Local Government Elections Act to insert the provision which was removed by the same Parliament to allow officers deployed by MEC, including security institutions, monitors, and polling staff, to vote from where they are deployed away from their center of registration. MEC is this time around described as selfish for only fighting for its deployed officers and refusing to accommodate journalists and local observers. Both the observers and Mr. Malawi have expressed disappointment over MEC's insistence during the Legal Affairs Committee meeting on the matter on Monday, and Parliament's nod on Tuesday that has left journalists out of the schedule in the amended Section 74. However, Section 74 was not easily amended in the ad hoc Parliament of the dissolved. The opposition had argued vehemently that the amendment was not necessary.
The Constitution, the section that, Madam, you cited, I think it's Section 67, does make provision for the Malawi Defense Force and the police. And the practice, as a matter of fact, although the section is badly drafted, there's need for an amendment, sir. It's Solicitor General. Section 67.3 has an error. There's a comma or and missing. The practice in the past is that these entities were voting prior, and you would establish a voting center at the MDF barracks or something like that, and they would vote prior to the rest of us, 2 days prior to the rest of us. For these entities, why don't you want to use the same methodology?
So it was brought to the House, but we found that the House, because ourselves were not in the majority, they overruled the decision of the Legal Affairs Committee. So you can see that they are trying to sneak in ways to manipulate the elections in their own favor.
They openly called the passing of the bill bulldozing, and now the bulldozed amendment is in place, as they washed their hands in the media that they would not be reliable for the negative consequences of this law. Frankly, they tried, but numbers could not allow them. But according to Kondowe, these are signs of a gap that will create another legal battle on the results of the 16th September elections, just like in 2019.
And if we're not careful, we're opening up a potential legal dispute, which we believe we can avoid.
For now, the sober understanding remains that Section 74 of the Act was amended to allow over 80,000 MEC deployed officers exercise the right to vote according to the Malawi Constitution. But political insinuations suggest that the push to change the law has a political and not a right in the Constitution force. For the fears, 39 days from now, 16 September aftermath awaits.
Many thanks to Robert Edward for giving us exclusive report for this week. And with that story, we have come to the end of our news bulletin right here on Luntha Television. But before I go, top stories once again. Pope Leo XIV sends condolences to Ghana, mourning's victims of helicopter crash. 161,920 indelible ink arrives ahead of September 16th general elections. Malawi struggles to manage diabetes amid low awareness and delayed diagnosis. And in our special report this week, Robert Edward reports loose ends for another legal battle against results 16th September general elections. Thanks for watching our news bulletin right here on Luntha Television. This has been Patrick Pupa. I wish you a lovely time. Keep watching Luntha TV and bye for now.